Hello, everyone. Welcome to 3 News Now. I'm Stephanie Haney. It's Thursday, January 7th. Thank you for choosing to be here to get filled in on your top stories from WKYC.com and our WKYC app. We start with an update overnight on what was the centerpiece of a huge amount of chaos and confusion in the Capitol yesterday. Congress did reconvene after the riots in the Capitol, and overnight, the Electoral College vote was certified, and President-elect Joe Biden was certified as the winner of the 2020 presidential election to be inaugurated on January 20th. The final tally in the Electoral College was 306 votes for Joe Biden, 232 for the current president, Donald Trump. Also, overnight, there was a statement released from President Donald Trump saying that there will be an orderly transition after Congress confirmed Biden's presidency. In the statement, where the president continues to lie about the facts, he promised that orderly transition, and that statement came from his social media director, Dan Scavino. Here's what it said. Even though I totally disagree with the outcome of the election and the facts bear me out, there's the lie. Nevertheless, there will be an orderly transition on January 20th. I have always said we would continue our fight to ensure that only legal votes were counted. While this represents the end of the greatest first term in presidential history, it's only the beginning of our fight to make America great again. Obviously, the president interjecting his opinion into that statement, as well as things that certainly are not factually true, because the president did not win the election. Joe Biden won the election, and as such, he was certified as the winner. Now, we saw that statement come out from his social media director because President Donald Trump at the time had his account locked on Twitter. That lock was supposed to lift at some point today. He has not yet tweeted as of this afternoon. We also are now learning that Facebook and Instagram have indefinitely blocked President Donald Trump from using the platform through at least the end of his presidency. Facebook founder Mark Zuckerberg released a statement today saying that because the situation has changed, his accounts will remain suspended. Here's the statement that Mark Zuckerberg released. He said, "The shocking events of the last 24 hours clearly demonstrate that President Donald Trump intends to use his remaining time in office to undermine the peaceful and lawful transition of power to his elected successor, Joe Biden. And because of that, for at least the next 2 weeks, those accounts will remain locked." Now, President Donald Trump did tell supporters to go home, but in the midst of telling them to go home, he also expressed his love for them and called them special people and seemed to justify their actions rioting in the Capitol. Now, today, our Ohio U.S. Senator Sherrod Brown says he supports invoking the 25th Amendment to remove President Donald Trump from office. He joins a growing list of politicians who are saying this. Here's what Brown said today. "Yesterday was a dark day for our country. Domestic terrorists attacked our seat of government at the behest of the President of the United States. This was his last desperate attempt to overturn the will of the American voters, but he failed and democracy won. We must hold the President accountable for inciting this attack on our country." Now, if you're not familiar, the 25th Amendment is the provision of the Constitution that allows for the President to be relieved of his duties as president if he becomes incapacitated, unwell, unable to perform his duties for any reason, and then the vice president assumes those responsibilities. So it's up to the vice president and the president's cabinet in order to invoke the 25th Amendment. Now, it's not just Senator Sherrod Brown who's calling for this. Top leadership is also calling for it. Speaker of the House Democrat Nancy Pelosi is calling for this. Current Senate Minority Leader, soon to be Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer, is also calling for this, and there is some support on the Republican side. Republican Illinois Congressman Adam Kinzinger on Thursday became the first member of the GOP to call for invoking of the 25th Amendment. Here's what Chuck Schumer said today. "If the vice president and the cabinet refuse to stand up, Congress should reconvene to impeach the president." So strong calls for the removal of President Trump from his duties right now. We're also continuing to see people talk about the police response to the riots that happened in Washington, D.C. yesterday. Lawmakers from both parties, Republicans and Democrats, have said that they will investigate the response and how law enforcement handled the breach at the Capitol. Now, the mayor of Washington, D.C., Muriel Bowser, called the police response a flat-out failure. Bowser said this, "Obviously, it was a failure, or you would not have had people enter the Capitol by breaking windows and terrorizing the members of Congress who were doing a very sacred requirement of their jobs." Now, the Capitol Police Chief Stephen Sund defended the response. He said that today that officers acted valiantly when faced with thousands of individuals involved in violent, riotous actions. He went on to say this: "Make no mistake, these mass riots were not First Amendment activities. They were criminal, riotous behavior. These actions of the USCP officers were heroic given the situation they faced." However, lots of people calling into question the response from police in Washington, D.C. yesterday. Many people making a point saying that there were very different responses to Black Lives Matter protests that have previously happened. A lot of people calling into question the racial makeup of the people who were doing the rioting in Washington, D.C., and whether that played any role in the reaction of those officers. Now, obviously, everyone has been impacted by this. It's been all over the news. It's been all over social media, the riots that happened yesterday. And also, the young people in our lives are impacted by this as well. So our anchor, Sarah Schuchman, talked with Dr. Laura Garrick, who is a pediatric psychologist with Akron Children's Hospital, about how to have conversations with your children about what happened in Washington, D.C. on Wednesday. Dr. Garrick said that the children are watching, and how we react to things will sort of get them in a frame of mind of how they might be reacting to things. And they're looking at parents in their lives or adults in their lives to say, is everything still okay? So the doctor said, once you've validated, yes, this is unusual, yes, this is big, yes, let's talk about it. The move there is to then become proactive and say, what are you seeing? What are you hearing? What are you thinking when you see this? And that oftentimes adults can make assumptions on what they think children need to know or children need to hear, but the best thing to do is start a proactive dialogue and actually have a conversation with those children. So if you want to see more of that, head to WKYC.com and our WKYC app for that conversation between Dr. Garrick and Sarah Schuchman. Also new today, President-elect Joe Biden introduced Judge Merrick Garland as his nominee for Attorney General. Now, you may remember Judge Merrick Garland is the judge who was the topic of hot debate 4 years ago, more than 4 years ago now, when President Barack Obama was in the last year of his presidency, and then the Republican-controlled Senate refused to vote on his nomination to the U.S. Supreme Court. Well, now Biden is bringing him back as his nominee for U.S. Attorney General. Biden said that both Judge Garland and 3 other people that he has selected for senior Justice Department positions will, quote, restore the independence of the agency and faith in the rule of law. Those other appointees include Obama administration Homeland Security Advisor Lisa Monaco as Deputy Attorney General, former Justice Department Civil Rights Chief Vanita Gupta as Associate Attorney General, and an Assistant Attorney General for Civil Rights, Kristen Clark, who is now the president of the Lawyers Committee for Civil Rights Under Law, which is an advocacy group. That's the recap of the political news today impacting us here in Ohio and at the national level. Now we have big news here in Cleveland for baseball fans. Today is the day Cleveland baseball has traded Francisco Lindor and Carlos Carrasco to the New York Mets. Stephen Cohen, the hedge fund manager who purchased that team this year, said when he purchased the team, he said, I'm not in this to be mediocre. I want something great, and it was going to take a lot of money in order to get Francisco Lindor. He had previously said he wanted to stay in Cleveland. The money had to be right. Well, now Lindor is going to the New York Mets. And in exchange for shortstop Lindor and also pitcher Cookie Carrasco, Cleveland is getting shortstops Ahmed Rosario and Andre Jimenez, right-handed pitcher Josh Wolf, and outfielder Isaiah Green from the Mets. We've got more on that on WKYC.com from our 3 News sports analyst, Ben Axelrod. Now let's talk about Governor Mike DeWine's press conference today related to COVID-19, a little bit of an update on how he sees the next phase rolling out for vaccinations. He wants people 75 and older to begin getting the COVID-19 vaccine January 25th, people 70 and older beginning January 31st, and 65 and older beginning February 5th. And then he says school employees for children in grades K through 12, the employees, not the children themselves, to begin getting vaccinated on February 1st. Now let's take a look at the COVID-19 numbers here in the state of Ohio from the Ohio Department of Health. Our case number is way up today. It's at 10,251 new cases in the last 24 hours. And unfortunately, 94 more people have been reported to have died related to COVID-19 here in Ohio. Our latest positive rate comes from Tuesday. That daily rate for positive tests was 14.7%, and the 7-day average is at 15%. We've been holding at that average for a couple days now. Less new hospitalizations today, 365 new hospitalizations today, and 4,180 people currently in the hospital with COVID-19. That's also down. Also, the number of people in the ICU below 1,000 for the first time in a while. That's 997 today. And we've seen 27 new ICU admissions in the last 24 hours. The total number of hospital beds available in the state of Ohio is about 26%. Now let's take a look at the national and the global COVID-19 numbers. These come from Johns Hopkins University. In the U.S., we now are at 21,394,326 reported COVID cases and 362,828 reported COVID deaths. We've got 4% of the global population, but 24.4% of the global cases and 19.2%, that number up just a bit, of the global deaths related to COVID-19. Globally, the number is 87,588,168 cases of COVID and 1,890,824 deaths related to COVID. Now, about those COVID-19 vaccines, if you have facial fillers, you might experience a reaction to the COVID-19 vaccine. But here's what you need to know. Cleveland Clinic dermatologist Dr. Shilpi Katarpal says this should not stop anyone from getting the vaccine or from getting a facial filler. This reaction is rare and easily treatable, and what people are experiencing are inflammation and swelling where the fillers have been injected. Now, here's the thing to know about this, according to the doctor. A filler is a foreign body that you put into your system, and then when your immune system switches on due to the vaccine, it makes sense that foreign bodies that aren't normally in your body would also get inflamed. This is because your immune system is designed to counteract foreign substances in your body. And yes, that does include facial fillers. So a couple of people had some swelling at the spots where they had facial fillers. They were treated with steroids and antihistamines, and they did recover. And by the way, this isn't only from the COVID-19 vaccine. This kind of a reaction could come from other vaccines as well and other infections. The doctor wanted to make sure people knew that. So if you want to read a little bit more about that, that's on WKYC.com as well, and on our WKYC app. And now we have some more news out of Berea today. Yesterday, there were no new cases of COVID-19. Yesterday, there were no new close contacts identified out of Berea. Well, today, safety Ronnie Harrison has been placed on the COVID-19 list, so he will be out for the playoff game on Sunday between the Browns and the Cleveland Steelers in that wild card round. Sunday Night Football here at 8:15 on Channel 3. The Browns will also be out, of course, with head coach Kevin Stefanski and 2 assistant coaches. They'll also be missing left guard Joel Bitonio and wide receiver Kaderil Hodge. All of those people out for the game on Sunday. The newest addition to that list, safety Ronnie Harrison today. Don't like hearing that, but we move on. Here's what we do know about the game that's happening in Pittsburgh at Heinz Field. Pittsburgh Steelers won't be allowing fans in for the wild card round. They announced that today. It will be limited to friends and family of the Steelers organization. They had hoped to have about 5,500 people in the stands. That's what they had in October and November, but the current order in Pennsylvania says the team can only host 2,500 fans on Sunday, so it will not be open to season ticket holders. It will only be open to friends and families of players. And with that, we want to let you know that we're holding a virtual pep rally here at WKYC, so we want to see your pictures and videos of how you're getting amped up for Sunday's playoff game. The first one that we've had here in 18 years, by the way. Let's not let all of this other stuff that's going on overshadow that joyful moment here in Cleveland. And remember that no matter what else happens at 8:15 on Sunday, the Browns are playing in a playoff game for the first time in 18 years. And we want to know how you're getting amped up for it. So send us those photos and videos. You can text pictures to 216-344-3300. You can send us photos and videos through the Near Me feature in the WKYC app. You can also tag me in them, _Stephanie Haney, or DM them to me so we can feature those for you. I would love to see them. I have my pregame ritual, the whiskey shot. Those of you who follow me on social media know all about that. And all my old vintage Browns gear that comes from my dad's closet. So I want to see how you're celebrating, so make sure you let us know. That's it for your 3 News Now update for Thursday, January 7th. I'll see you next up on What's New with your trending stories and clicking in Cleveland, including your reaction to the Cleveland baseball trade of Lindor and Carrasco. I'll see you there. And if you didn't know, you can watch that live for free in the WKYC app. Everyone stay safe and be well, and I'll see you back here tomorrow. I'm Stephanie Haney.